Good evening. Welcome to Founders Theater here at Ohio State Mansfield. We are so thrilled you're here to join us for tonight's performance of Antigone. My name is Victoria O'Brien, and along with Joe Fahey, I am the director of this production. I'd like to share with you a few housekeeping reminders before we get started. First, please make sure you turn off or at least silence your cell phones. Any screen activity or sounds are very disturbing to your fellow patrons and also to the actors. There are a few very quiet moments in the show, and I'd hate for any of those to be ruined by Siri or whoever is on your phone. Second, please refrain from taking any photos or videos during today's performance. You can take pictures with the cast after the show if you'd like, but please wait until that time to do so. Third, make sure you take a look at your program. In the program, you can get information about our cast, crew, and all the other folks who made tonight possible, so please give a look at that. Tonight's performance does run about 75 minutes. There is no intermission, so if you do find that you need to use the restroom during that performance, the restrooms are out the theater to my right, on your left, so please feel free to do that. Upcoming events here at the theater, just down the hall we have our art gallery. We are hosting the student exhibition, A New Day, opening on April 6th. This is the first physical exhibition of student work we've had since 2019, if you can believe it. So we're clap for that. We're so excited to have that back. So please come out and support the arts here at Ohio State Mansfield. If you like what you see tonight, tell your friends. That's how we grow our programs, through word of mouth, social media. We have 3 more performances after tonight, tomorrow night, and Saturday at 7:30 and Sunday at 2:30. So please tell your friends or come back yourself. We'd love to see you. After the performance tonight, you can join us out in the lobby for a light reception provided by the Friends of the Theater Club. If you would like to join the Friends of the Theater Club or just be in the know about what's going on here, you can sign up at the table in the lobby for emails or mailing information about what's going on here, upcoming events, auditions, and other information. Our cast will also be in the lobby. They'd love to meet you and express their support, or their appreciation for your support being here tonight. With all that being said, please lean forward, get ready, and enjoy Antigone.
At the close of Oedipus' Tyrannus, Oedipus forfeited the throne to Creon. The self-blinded Oedipus beseeched Creon to send him away from Thebes. A feeling grew that Thebes was harboring a defilement, and it was decided to expel Oedipus. His 2 sons, Polynices and Antigone, having both reached manhood, said not a word to prevent his doom, but his 2 daughters were nobly loyal. Antigone went forth with her blind father, as many stayed in Thebes. Oedipus grew old in his destitute wanderings and died. The 2 sons, moved by some god and a sinful mind, fell to striving with each other for sole power. Antigone managed to win over the citizens, while the older brother, Polynices, was driven out of Thebes. He went to Argos and led a great host against Thebes. This battle led to the death of both. It is daybreak, on the morning after the death of the 2 brothers and the flight of the defeated Argives. Antigone calls Ismene forth from the palace in order to speak with her alone.
Ismene, dear sister, what ill is there of all given us by Oedipus that Zeus has not visited upon us too while we live. There is no ruin, no shame, no dishonor that I have not seen in your woes and mine. And now what new law is this, that our ruler has just published to all thieves? Know you nothing? Well, have you heard? Or is it hidden from you that our friends are threatened with the same fate as our foes?
No word of friends, Antigone, sweet or painful, has come to me, since we two sisters lost our brothers too. Killed in one day by twofold blow. And since our enemies from Argos have fled, I know not whether my fortune be brighter or more grievous.
I knew this, and that is why I have brought you beyond the gates of the court, that you might hear alone.
What is it? It is plain that you have dark tidings.
Creon has destined our brothers, the one to honored burial, the other to unburied shame. Eteocles, they say, with due observance of rite and custom, he has laid in the earth for his honor among the dead below. But the hapless corpse of Polynices, as rumor says, it has been published to the town that none shall entomb him or mourn, but leave, unwept, unburied, a welcome store for the birds as they spy him to feast on at will. Such, it is said, is the edict that the good Creon has set forth, for you and for me. Yes, for me. It is coming here to proclaim it clearly to those who know it not. But whoever disobeys, his doom is death by stoning before all. You know it now, and you will soon show whether you are nobly bred, or the base daughter of a noble line.
Poor sister? And if things stand so, what could I help to do or undo?
Consider, if you will share the toil in the deed.
In what venture? What do you mean?
Will you aid these hands to lift the dead?
Bury him? When it is forbidden to thieves!
Yes, I will do my part, and yours if you will not. To a brother, false to him I will never be found.
Oh, you are too bold! Creon has forbidden this.
No, he has no right to keep me from my own.
Ah, methinks, sister, how our father perished amid hate and scorn. Sins bared by his own search moved him to strike both eyes with self-blinding hand. Then, mother, wife, two names in one, the twisted noose did end her life. And last, our two brothers in one day, each one shedding miserable man his brother's blood. And now we in turn, we two left all alone, think how we shall perish, more miserably than all the rest, if in defiance of a law we challenge a king's powers? No. We were born women who should not strive with men. We are ruled by those stronger, so that we must obey in these things, and in things yet more severe. I, therefore, the spirits infernal to pardon, seeing that force is put on me, I will hearken to our rulers, for it is foolish to do otherwise.
I will not urge you, nor if you were to change your mind, would you be welcome as a worker with me. Be what you will, but I will bury him. Well for me to die in doing that. I shall rest a loved one with a brother I loved sinless in my crime. For I owe a longer allegiance to the dead than to the living. In that world I shall abide forever. But you dishonor laws, which the gods established to honor.
I do them no dishonor, but to defy the state. I have no strength for that.
So be it. You've made your plea. I then will go to heap the earth upon the brother whom I love.
Oh, I fear for you.
Fear not for me. Look to your own fate.
At least then, disclose this plan to none, but hide it closely, and so too will I.
Oh, proclaim it. You will be far more hateful for your silence. Announce these things to all.
You have a hot heart for chilling deeds.
I know that I please where I am most bound to please.
Yes, if you can, but you want to do what you cannot.
Then when my strength fails, I will have done all I could do.
A hopeless quest should not be made at all.
If this is how you speak, then you will have hatred from me, and the lasting hatred of the dead. But leave me, in the folly that is mine alone, to suffer this dread thing. For I shall not suffer anything so dreadful as a dishonorable death.
Go then, if you must. And this be sure, that though your errand is foolish, to your dear ones you are truly dear.
Beam of the sun, fairest light that ever shone upon our 7 gates. You have shone forth at last. Our enemy has been stirred by you to headlong flight.
He set forth into our land to challenge the claim of Polynices, and, like shrill screaming eagle, he flew into our land with an armed throng dressed for battle.
Paused above our dwellings, spears thirsting for blood, and fierce was the noise of battle as he wrestled with his foe.
Yet Zeus utterly abhors the boasts of a proud tongue, and when he beheld them coming on in a stream in haughty pride, he destroyed with fire one who hurried to shout victory upon our ramparts.
Swung down, he fell to earth with a crash, raging against us with blasts of hate. But his threats fared not as he hoped. Ares, god of war, dispensed several dooms, a mighty helper at our need.
For 7 captains at 7 gates matched against 7, left their tribute to Zeus, who turns the battle, save those 2 of cruel fate, who, though brothers, set upon each other, and now share a common death.
But since victory has come to us, let us enjoy forgetfulness after the late wars, and visit all the temples of the gods with dance and song.
Oh, look, the new king of our land draws near, Creon, our new ruler by the new fortunes that the gods have given. What counsel is he seeking that he has called us to?
Sirs, the vessel of our state, after being tossed on wild waves, has once more been safely steadied by the gods. And you have been called here by my summons because I knew, first of all, how true and constant was your reverence for the royal power of Laios. How, again, when Oedipus was ruler, and when he perished, your steadfast loyalty still upheld their children. Since then, his sons have fallen, and one day by a twofold doom, each felled by the other, each stained with a brother's blood. I now possess the throne and all of its powers by nearness of kinship to the dead. No man can be fully known in soul and spirit and mind until he has been seen versed in rule and law-giving. No, as supreme guide of the state, I cleave to the best counsel. I, with Zeus as my witness, would not be silent if I saw ruin instead of safety come to the citizens. Nor would I ever deem the country's foe a friend to myself. Remembering this, that our country is the ship that bears us safe, and that only while she prospers on her voyage can we make true friends. Such are the rules by which I guard this city's greatness, and in accord with them the edict which I have published now, touching the sons of Oedipus, that Eteocles, who has fallen, fighting in battle for our city in all renown of arms, shall be entombed, and graced with every right that follows the noblest of dead to their rests. But for his brother, Polynices, who came back from exile and sought to consume utterly with fire the cities of his fathers and the shrines of his fathers' gods, none shall grace him with burial rite or lament, but leave him unburied, corpse for birds and dogs to eat, a ghastly sight of shame. Such is my command. The wicked shall not stand in honor before the just. But whoever have goodwill to thieves, he shall be honored, in his life and in his death.
Such is your pleasure, Creon, touching the city's foe and its friend, and you have power, I submit, to take what order you will, both from the dead and all of us who live.
See then that you be guardians of the order.
Lay the burden of this task on those younger than us.
Watchers of the corpse have been found.
What then do you ask of us?
That you side not with the breakers of these commands.
No one is so foolish that he is in love with death.
In truth, that is the reward. Yet treasure has often ruined many through their hopes.
My liege, I will not say that I come breathless with speed, but I have plied a nimble foot. For often did my thoughts make me pause and wheel round in my path to return. My mind is holding large discourse with me. Fool, why go to your certain doom? Wretch, tarrying again? And if Creon hears this from another, must you not suffer for it? So, debating, I went on my way with lagging steps, and so a short road is made long. At last, however, carried the day that I should come here to you. Although my tale be nothing, yet I will tell it. I come with a good grip and one hope, that I can suffer nothing but what is my fate.
And what disquiets you?
Why, I wish to tell you first about myself. I did not do the deed. I did not see the doer. It is not right that I should come to any harm.
You have a shrewd eye for your mark. You fence yourself round against all blame. Clearly you have some strange thing to tell.
Yes, truly. Dread news makes one pause long.
Then tell it, will you, and so get you gone?
Well, this is it. The corpse. Someone has just given it burial and gone away, after sprinkling thirsty dust in the flesh with such of the rites as piety demands.
What did you say? What living man has dared this deed?
I know not. The doer left no trace, and when the first 8 watchmen showed it to us, amazement fell on all. The dead man was veiled from us, not shut within a tomb, but lightly strewn with dust, as though by the hand of one who shunned a curse. Then evil words flew fast and loud among us. Guard accusing guard, and we would have come to blows at last. Every man was ready to make oath by the gods we had not done this deed, that we did not know of the planning or of the doing. At last, when all of our searching was fruitless, one spoke, who made us bend our faces to the earth in fear. His counsel was that this deed must be reported to you and not hidden, and this seemed best. So here I stand as unwelcome as unwilling, for no man delights to be the bearer of bad news.
Could this deed be the work of the gods?
Silence! Before your words fill me utterly with wrath in saying that the gods have care for this corpse. Do you think the gods honor the wicked? No! From the first there were those in the town that muttered against me, chafing at this edict, wagging their heads in secret, and they kept not their necks duly under the yoke, like men contented with my rule. It is by them well I know that these have been beguiled and bribed to do this deed. Nothing is so evil as money. It lays cities low. It drives men from their homes. It trains and warps honest souls till they set themselves to works of shame. It still teaches folk to practice villainies and to know every godless deed. But all the men who rout this thing for hire have made sure that they shall pay the price. Now, as Zeus still has my reverence, know this, I tell you on my oath. If you do not find the very author of this burial and produce him before my eyes, death alone shall not be enough for you. You will first be strung up until you have confessed this outrage, that hereafter you may thieve with better knowledge from where treasure should be won, and learn that it is not well to love gain from every source, for you will find that ill-gotten gain brings more men to ruin than to wealth.
May I speak, or shall I just turn and go?
Know you not that even now your voice offends?
Is your pain in the ears or in the soul?
And why would you define the seat of my pain?
The doer vexes your mind, but I your ears.
Ah, you are a born babbler.
Maybe so, but never the doer of this deed.
Yes, and more, the seller of your life for silver.
Alas, It is sad when he who judges should misjudge.
Let your fancy play with judgment as it will. But if you find me not the doers of these things, you will find that ill-gotten gains bring sorrows.
Well, may he be found. That would be thus, but be he anything or be he not, fortune must settle that. Truly, you will not see me here again, saved even now. Beyond all hope and thought, I owe the gods great thanks.
Wonders are many, and none is more wonderful than man. He crosses the wide sea, driven by the storm, making paths under surges that threaten to engulf him. And earth, the eldest of the gods, the immortal, the unwearied, does he wear, turning the soil with horses as his plows drive on from year to year.
He masters by his arts the beasts whose lair is in the wilds, who roams these hills. The light-hearted race of birds, the sea brood of the deep, the horse of shaggy mane, he puts a yoke upon its neck, he tames the tireless mountain bull.
And speech, and wind-swift thought, and all the moods that mold a state, has he taught himself. And how to flee the arrows of the frost, and the arrows of the rushing rain, yes, he has resource for all. Only against death shall he call for aid in vain. But against baffling maladies he has devised escapes.
Cunning beyond fancy's dream is the fertile skill which brings him now to evil, now to good. For when he honors the laws of the land and that justice which he has sworn to the gods to uphold, proud stands his city. No city has he who by his rashness dwells in sin. Never may he share my hearth, never think my thoughts who does these things.
What omen from the gods is this? My soul is amazed. I know her. How can I deny that this maiden is Antigone? Oh, unhappy and child of unhappy father, of Oedipus, what means this? You brought a prisoner? You disloyal to the king's laws and taken in folly?
Here she is, the doer of the deed. Caught this girl bearing him. Where is Creon?
Here, he comes forth again at our need.
What has happened that requires my presence?
O king, against nothing should men pledge their word. I could have vowed that I should not soon be here again, scared by your threats. But I have come bringing this maid who was taken to bring grace to the dead. This time, there was no casting of lots. No, this luck has fallen unto me. And now, sire, take care of yourself, question her, examine her as you will. But I have a right to free and final relief from this trouble.
And your prisoner here, how and from where have you taken her?
She was bearing the man. You now know all.
Do you mean what you say? Do you speak the truth?
I caught this girl bearing the man you had forbidden to bury. Is that plain and clear?
And how was she seen? How taken in the act?
When we had come to the place with those dread threats rolled upon us, we swept away all the dust that covered the corpse and buried the dead body well. Then we sat on the brow of the hill to the windward side, hoping that the smell from him would not reach us. Every man was wide awake, and kept his neighbor alert with many threats if anyone should be careless of his watch. And so went it until midday, when suddenly a whirlwind lifted from the earth, a storm of dust, a trouble in the sky, and the wide air was choked. Closed her eyes and bore this plague from the gods. And when the storm had passed, the maid was seen. She cried aloud with the sharp cry of a bird in its bitterness, even as when, within the empty nest, it sees its bed stripped of its nestlings. So she also, when she saw the corpse bare, lifted out a voice of wailing, and called down curses on the doers of that deed. She brought thirsty dust in her hands from a pitcher of bronze held high. With thrice poured drink offering, she crowned the dead. We rushed forward when we saw it, and at once pounced upon our quarry, who was in no way dismayed. And we charged her with her past and present doings, and she denied nothing. at once to my joy and to my pain. To escape from ills oneself is of great joy, but it is painful to bring friends to ill. Even so, all such things are of less account to me than my own safety.
You whose face is bent to earth, do you admit or deny this deed?
I admit it. I make no denial.
You can go where you will, free and clear of a grave charge. Now tell me, you, not in many words, but briefly, did you know that an edict had forbidden this?
I knew it. Could I help it? It was public.
And you dared transgress that law?
Yes, for it was not Zeus that had published that edict. The law set among men is not to justice that dwells with the gods, nor are your decrees of such force that a mortal could override the unwritten and unfailing statutes of heaven. For their life is not of today or yesterday, but from all time, and no man knows when they were first put forth. Not through dread of any human pride could I answer to the gods for breaking these. Die I must. I know that well, even without your edicts. But if I am to die before my time, I count that a gain. For anyone who lives such as I do, compassed about with evils, can such a one find anything but gain in death? So for me to meet this doom is small grief. But if I had suffered my mother's son to lie in death, an unburied corpse, that would have grieved me. For this I am not grieved. And if my present deeds seem foolish in your sight, it may be that a foolish judge measures my folly.
The maid shows herself passionate child of passionate father who knows not how to bend before troubles.
Yet I would have you know that two stubborn spirits are most often humbled. It is the stiffest iron, baked to hardness in the fire, that you shall most often see snapped and shivered. And I have known horses that show temper brought to order by a little curb. There is no room for pride when you are your neighbor's slave. This girl was already versed in insolence when she transgressed the laws that had been set forth. And, that done, cast a second insult, to revel in this and exult in her deed. Now truly I am no man, she is the man. If this victory shall rest with her, and bring no penalty? No, she is my sister's child. But were she nearer to me in blood than any of our house, she and her kinsfolk would not avoid a doom most dire. For indeed I charge that other with a like share in the plotting of this burial. And I have summoned her, for I saw her even now within raving, deprived of her wits, plotting mischief in the dark. Truly, this too is hateful, when one who has been caught in wickedness then seeks to make the crime a glory.
What you do more than take and slay me?
No more, indeed. Having that, I have all.
Why then do you delay? In your speech there is nothing that pleases me, never may there be. And so my words must be unpleasing to you. And yet, for glory, how could I have won a nobler cause than by giving burial to my own brother? All here would own that they thought it well, were not their lips sealed by fear. But royalty, blessed in so much besides, has the power to do and say what it will.
You differ from all these Thebans in that view.
These also share it, but they curb their tongues.
And are you not ashamed to act apart from them?
No, there is nothing shameful in piety to a brother.
Was it not a brother, too, that died fighting in the opposite cause?
Brother, by the same mother and the same father.
Why, then, do you render a grace that is unholy in his sight?
The dead man would not say that.
Yes, if you make him but equal in honor with the wicked.
It was his brother, not his slave, that perished.
Wasting this land, while he fell as its champion.
Nevertheless, Hades desires these rights.
But the good desires not a like portion with the evil.
Who knows what seems blameless in the world below?
A foe is never a friend, not even in death.
It is not my nature to join in hating, but in loving.
Pass, then, to the world of the dead, and if you must needs love, love them. While I live, no woman shall rule me.
Look, as many comes forth, shedding such tears as fond sisters weep. A shadow upon her brow casts its shadow upon her fair cheek, and breaks in rain upon her cheek.
you, who, lurking like a viper in my house, was secretly draining my lifeblood, while I knew not that I was nurturing two pests to rise against my rule. Tell me now, will you also confess your part in this burial, or will you forswear all knowledge of it?
I have done the deed, if she allows my claim, and share the burden of the charge.
No, that is not justice. You did not consent to the deed, nor did I give you part in it.
But now that ills beset you, I am not ashamed to sail the sea of trouble at your side.
Whose was the deed? Hades and the dead are witnesses. A friend in words is not the friend that I love.
No, sister, reject me not, but let me die with you, and duly honor the dead.
Share not my death, nor claim deeds to which you have not put your hand. My death will suffice.
But what life is dear to me bereft of you?
Ask Creon. All your care is for him.
Why vex me so when it gains you nothing?
Indeed, if I mock, it is with pain that I mock you.
Tell me, how can I serve you even now?
Save yourself. I grudge not your escape.
Shall I have no share in your fate?
Your choice was to live, mine to die.
At least your choice was not made without my protest.
One world approved your wisdom, another mine.
The offense is the same for both of us.
Be of good cheer, you live. But my life has long been given to death, that so I might serve the dead.
One of these maidens has newly shown herself foolish, as the other has been since her life began.
Yes, O king. Reason rests not with the unfortunate, but goes astray.
Yours did, when you chose vile deeds with the vile.
What life could I endure without her presence?
Speak not of her presence. She lives no more.
Will you slay the betrothed of your own son?
There are other fields for him to plow.
But there can never be such love as bound him to her.
I like not an evil wife for my son.
Haman, beloved, how your father wrongs you.
Enough! Enough of you and of your marriage.
Will you indeed rob your son of this maiden?
It is death that shall do it for me.
It is determined, then, that she shall die.
Determined, yes. For you and for me. No more delay, take them within. Henceforth they must be women, and not range at large. For verily even the bold seek to fly when they see death now closing on their life.
Blessed are they whose days have not tasted of evil. For when the house has once been shaken from heaven, there the curse remains, passed down from life to life of the race. Just as when the surge is driven over the darkness of the depths by the fierce sea winds, and scoops up the black sand from the depths, and sullen roars from wind-vexed headlands meet the blows of the storm.
I see that from olden times, the sorrows of the ancestors are heaped upon the sorrows of the newly dead. And generation is not freed by generation, but some god strikes them down, and they have no deliverance. For now, the last root of the house of Oedipus is brought low. By the blood-stained dust do the gods infernal, and folly in speech, and frenzy of the heart.
O Zeus, what human wrong could limit your power? And through the future, as through the past, may this law hold good. Nothing that is of eternity enters into the life of mortals without a curse.
Hope is to many men a comfort, and to many the false lure of giddy desires, and disappointment comes on him who knows nothing until in his path he walks across fire. Evil seems good to him whose mind the gods draw to mischief. But only for the briefest of times does he fare free of misery.
Look there, Haman, the last of your sons. Does he come grieving for the doom of his promised bride Antigone, and bitter for the crushed hope of his marriage?
We shall know soon. Better than seers could tell us. My son, hearing the sealed doom of your betrothed, have you come in rage against your father? Or have I your goodwill act how I may?
Father, I am yours, and you in your infinite wisdom trace for me rules which I shall follow. No marriage shall be deemed by me a greater gain than your good guidance.
Yes, this, my son, should be your heart's fixed law, in all things to obey your father's will. It is for this that men pray, to see dutiful children grow up around them and in their homes. Do not, my son, at pleasure's beck, dethrone your reason for a woman's sake, knowing that this is a joy that soon grows cold in clasping arms, an evil woman, to share your bed and your home. What wound could strike deeper than a false friend? No, with loathing and as if she were your enemy, let this girl go to find a husband in the house of Hades. If anyone transgresses, or does violence to the laws, or thinks to dictate to his ruler, such a one can win no praise from me. No, whomever the city may appoint, that man must be obeyed, in small things and great, in just things and unjust. But disobedience is the worst of evils. This is it that ruins cities. This makes homes desolate. About the lives whose course is fair, we owe safety to obedience. Therefore, we must support the cause of order, and in no way suffer a woman to best us. Better to fall from power if we must by a man's hand, when we should not be called weaker than a woman.
To us you seem to say wisely what you say.
Father, gods give reason to men. The highest of all things we call our own. It is not my place to say how or when you speak in error. And yet, another man too might have some useful thought, as it is my duty to watch on your behalf all that men say, or do, or find to blame. For the dread of your frown forbids the citizens to speak such words as would offend your ears. But I can hear these murmurs in the dark, these moanings of the city for this maiden. No woman, they say, ever merited her doom less. None ever was to die so shamefully for deeds so glorious as hers, who, when her own brother had fallen in bloody strife, would not leave him unburied to be devoured by carrion dogs or any birds. Deserves not she the reward of golden honor? Such is the dark rumor that spreads in secret. For me, my father, no treasure is so precious as your welfare. We're not one mood only in yourself. Think not that your word and yours alone must be right. For if any man thinks that he alone is wise, that in speech and in mind he has no peer, such a soul when laid open is ever found empty. Although a man be wise, it is no shame for him to learn many things and to bend in season. Consider how in the fierce waters of winter, the trees that yield save every twig, while the stiff-necked perish root and branch. For he who keeps the sheet of his sail taut, and never slackens it, upsets his boat and finishes his voyage capsized. No, withhold your wrath. Commit yourself to change. Though still young, I have learned that men should be all wise by nature, but often the scale inclines not so. It is good also to learn from those who speak aright.
Sire, it is right that you should profit by his words if he speaks anything in season. And Haman, by your fathers, for on both parts there has been wise speech.
Are men of my age to be schooled, then, by children?
in nothing that is not right. But if I am young, look to my merits and not my years.
Is it a merit to honor the unruly?
I could wish no one show respect to evildoers.
Then is she not tainted with that sickness?
Our thieving folk with one voice deny it.
Shall Thebes prescribe to me how I must rule?
See there, you have spoken like a youth indeed.
Am I to rule this land by judgment other than my own?
No city belongs to one man.
Is not the city meant to be the rulers?
You would make a good ruler of a desert.
This boy, it seems, is the woman's champion.
If you are a woman, indeed, my care is for you.
Shameless. At open feud with your father.
No, I see you offending against justice.
Do I offend? When I respect my own prerogatives?
You do not respect them when you trample on the gods' honors.
Oh, sinister nature, yielding place to woman.
You will never find me yield to baseness.
All your words plead for that girl.
And for you, and for me, and for the gods.
You will never marry her. On this side of the grave.
And she must die, and in death destroy another.
What? Does your boldness run to open threats?
What threat is it to combat vain decisions?
You shall regret your witless teaching of wisdom.
Were you not my father, I would have called you a fool.
You woman's slave. Save your speeches.
You would speak and hear no reply?
Say you so. Now, by heaven above us, be sure of it, you shall suffer for taunting me in this shameful way. Bring forth that hated thing, that she may die now, in his presence, before his eyes, at her bridegroom's side.
No, not at my side shall she perish, nor shall you ever set eyes upon my face. Rave then with such friends as can endure you.
He is gone, O king, in angry haste. A youthful mind when stung is fierce.
Let him do, or dream more than man. Good speed to him. But he shall not save these two girls from their doom.
You intend to slay both?
Not her whose hands are pure. You speak well.
By what doom mean you to slay the other?
I will take her where the path is loneliest, and hide her there living in rocky vault, with so much food set forth as piety prescribes, that the city can avoid a public stain. And there, praying to Hades, the only god whom she worships, perchance she will obtain release from death, or else will learn, at last, though late, that it is lost labor to revere the dead.
Love, unconquered love, who makes havoc of wealth, who keeps your vigil on the soft cheek of a maiden. No immortal or mortal can escape you, and he to whom you have come is mad.
The just have their minds warped by you to wrong for their ruin. It is you who have stirred up the present strife of kinsmen, victorious in the eyes of the fair bride. You sit enthroned beside the eternal laws, for there the goddess Aphrodite works her unconquerable will. But now I am carried beyond the bounds of loyalty and can no longer hold back the streaming tears when I see Antigone passing to the bridal chamber where all are laid to rest.
See me, citizens of my fatherland, setting forth on my last journey, looking my last on the sunlight that is for me no more. No, Hades, who gives sleep to all, leads me living to death's shore. I who have had no bridal song shall be wed to the Lord of the Dark Lake.
Glorious you depart to that deep place of the dead. Wasting sickness has not afflicted you. No sword has pierced you. No, mistress of your own fate, and still alive. Yes, you shall pass into Hades as no other of mortal kind has passed.
I have heard how long ago a dread doom befell the daughter of Tantalus. For on high mountain she slowly turned to stone. Rain and snow still fall from her wasting form, while beneath her weeping lids the tears fall on those below. I share her fate, a fate that brings me to my rest.
Yet she was a goddess, born of gods. We are mortals. But it is a great honor for a woman who has perished that she should have shared the doom of the godlike in her life and afterward in death.
You mock me? Can you not wait till I am gone? Must you taunt me to my face? O my city, and you, her children, you holy ground of Thebes, whose chariots are many, you at least will bear witness. In what sort, unwept of friends, and by what laws, I am led to the rock-closed prison of my strange tomb, unhappy, who have no home on the earth or below it. No home with the living or with the dead.
You have rushed forward to the utmost verge of daring, and against that throne where judgment sits on high, you have fallen, my daughter, with a grievous fall. But in this ordeal, you are paying for your father's sins.
You have touched on my bitterest thought, awaking the ever-new lament for my father and for all the doom given to all of our family. Alas for the horrors of the mother's bed, alas for the wretched mother's slumber at the side of her own son. And my father, from what manner of parents did I take my miserable being? And to them I go so, accursed, unwed to share their home. Alas, my brother, in your death you have undone my life.
Your reverent actions deserve praise, yet offense against power cannot be brooked by one who rules. Your self-willed temper has brought about your ruin.
Unwept, unfriended, without marriage song, I am led forth in my sorrow on this journey that can be delayed no more. No longer may I behold the sun's sacred eye. For my fate, no tears shed. No friend will moan.
Songs and wailings before death would never cease, if it profited to utter them. Away with her. And when you have enclosed her, according to my word, in her vaulted grave, leave her alone, forlorn. Whether she wishes to die or live a buried life in such a home. Our hands are clean as touching this maiden, but this is certain. She shall be deprived of her journey in the light.
Tomb, bridal chamber, eternal prison, in the cavern rocks where I go to find my own. Those many who have perished and whom Persephone has received among the dead. Last of all shall I pass there, and far most miserably of all before the term of my life is spent. I hope that my coming will be welcome to my father, and pleasant to you, my mother, and welcome, brother, to you. For when you died, with my own hands, I washed and dressed you and poured drink offerings at your graves. And now, Polynices, it is for tending your corpse that I win such reward as this. And yet I honored you, as the wise will deem rightly. Never had been a mother of children, Or had a husband been mouldering in death, would I have taken this task upon me? Husband lost, another might have been found, and child from another to replace the firstborn, but mother and father, hidden with Hades. No brother's life could ever bloom for me again. Such was the law that led me to hold you first in honor. But Creon deemed me guilty of outrage, my brother, and now he leads me so a captive in his hands. No bridal bed, no bridal song has been mine, no joy of marriage, no portion in the nurture of children, but so forlorn of friends unhappy when I go living to the vaults of death. And what laws of heaven have I transgressed? Why should I look to the gods anymore? What ally should I invoke when by piety I have earned the name of impious? Know then, if these things are pleasing to the gods, when I have suffered my doom, I shall come to know my sin. But if the sin is with my judges, I could wish them no fuller measure of evil than they on their part do wrongfully to me.
Still the same tempest of the soul vexes this maiden with the same fierce gusts.
Then for this shall her gods have cause to regret their delay.
Oh, that word has come very near to death. O city of my fathers in the land of Thebes, O you gods, eldest of our race, they lead me onward. Now they tarry not. Behold me, people of Thebes. See what I suffer and from whom. Because I feared to cast away the fear of heaven.
Dreadful is the mysterious power of fate. It has no deliverance by wealth or by war, by fenced city or dark sea-beaten ships.
People of Thebes, we have come with linked steps, served by the eyes of one. For so, by a guide's help, the blind must walk.
And what, aged Tiresias, are your tidings?
I will tell you, and you will listen to the seer.
Indeed. It has not been my nature to slight your counsel.
Therefore have you steered our city's course aright.
I have felt and can attest your benefits.
Mark you that now once more you stand on fate's fine edge.
What? Oh, I shudder at your message.
You will learn when you hear the warnings of my art. As I took my place on my old seat of prophecy where all birds gather, I heard a strange voice among them. They were screaming with dire, feverish rage that drowned the language in their cries. And I knew that they were rending each other with their talons murderously. The whir of wings told a dread tale. In fear, I made burnt sacrifice on a duly kindled altar. But from my offerings, the fire god showed no flame. Dank moisture, oozing from the thigh flesh, trickled forth upon the embers, and smoked and sputtered. Gall was scattered to the air. The streaming thighs lay bared of the fat that had been wrapped around them. Such was the failure of the rites by which I vainly asked for a sign, and it was your judgment that brought this sickness on our state. For the altars of our city and of our hearths are tainted, one and all, by birds and dogs, with flesh from that wretched corpse, the son of Oedipus. And therefore the gods no longer accept prayer or sacrifice at our hands, or flame for meat offering. Nor does any bird give a clear sign with its shrill cry, for they have tasted the fatness of a slain man's blood. Think, then, on these things, my son. All men are liable to err. But when an error is made, a man is no longer witless or unblessed, who heals the ill into which he has fallen and remains not stubborn. Self-will, we know, incurs the charge of folly. No, stab not the fallen, allow the dead their claim. What prowess is it to slay the slain anew? I have sought your good, and for your good I speak. And it is never sweeter to learn from a good counsellor than when he counsels for your own gain.
Old man, you all shoot your shafts at me, as archers at their targets. Must you practice on me with seercraft also? Yes, the seer tribe has long trafficked in me and made me their merchandise. Gain your gains, drive your trade, but you shall not hide that man in the grave. No, not for dread of that defilement will I suffer this burial. For well I know that no mortal can defile the gods. But aged Tiresias, the wisest fall with shameful fall, when they clothe shameful thoughts in fair words, for money's sake.
Alas, does any man know, does any consider?
What? What general truth do you announce?
How precious, above all wealth, is good counsel.
As folly, I think, is the worst mischief.
Yet you are tainted with that distemper.
We would not answer the seer with a taunt.
But you do, by saying that I prophesy falsely.
Well, the prophet tribe was ever fond of money.
Your tribe of tyrants loves base gain.
Know you that your speech is spoken of your king?
I know it, for through me you have saved Thebes.
You are a wise seer, but you love evil deeds.
You will rouse me to utter the dread secret in my soul.
Out with it! Only speak it not for gain.
Indeed, I think I shall not, for it touches you.
Know that you shall not trade on my resolve.
Then know you. Yes, know it well, that you shall not live through many more courses of the sun's swift chariot before one begotten of you shall be given by you, a corpse for corpses, because you have thrust children of the sunlight into darkness and ruthlessly lodged a living soul in the grave, yet keep in this world one that belongs with the gods infernal, a corpse, unburied, dishonoured, all unhallowed. In such you have no part, nor do the gods above, but this is a violence done to them by you. Therefore the avenging destroyers lie in wait for you, the furies of Hades and of the gods, that you may be taken in these same ills. And mark well, if I say these things as a hireling, time not long to be delayed shall awaken the wailing of men and of women in your house. A tumult of hatred stirs against you in all the cities whose mangled sons have been given the burial rites by dogs or by some winged bird that bore a polluting breath to each of the cities that contains the hearts of the dead. Such arrows for your hearts, since you provoked me, have I launched at you, archer-like in my anger. Sure arrows, of which you shall not escape the wound. Boy, lead me home, that he may spend his anger on younger men and learn to keep a tongue more temperate. And bear within his breast a better mind than now he bears.
He is gone, O king, and with dread prophecies. And since the hair on his head once dark has been white, I know he has never been a false prophet to this city.
I too know it well, and am troubled in my soul. It is dire to yield, but by resistance to strike my pride with ruin. That too is a dire choice.
King Creon, it behooves you to take wise counsel.
What should I do then? Speak, and I will obey.
Go and free the maiden from her rocky chamber and make a tomb for the unburied dead.
And this is your counsel? You would have me yield?
Yes, sire, and with all haste, for swift harms from the gods cut short the follies of men.
It is hard. But I relent. I obey. We must not wage a vain war with destiny.
Go and do these things. Leave them not to others.
Yes, on, and hasten to the cave. Since our judgment has taken this turn, I shall be present to unbind her, as it was I who bound her. My heart misgives me. We must keep the established laws, even to lives' end.
O you of many names, you who have been seen where torch flames glare through smoke, above the crest of the highest peaks, the ivy-mantled slopes of hills, the shores green with many clustered vines, you whose name has been lifted up on strains of more than mortal power as you visit our land.
Thebes, of all cities you hold first in honor. When all our people is captive to a violent plague, come you with healing.
O you with whom the stars rejoice as they move, the stars whose breath is fire, come, giver of good gifts.
There is no estate of mortal life that I would ever praise or blame as settled. Fortune humbles and fortune raises the lucky and unlucky from day to day, and no one can prophesy to men concerning things which are established. For Creon was blessed once, as I deem bliss. He had saved this land from its foes, he was clothed in sole dominion over the land. He reigned, the glorious sire of princely children. And now all is lost. For when a man forfeits his pleasures, I count him not as living. I hold him but a breathing corpse. Heap up riches, live in kingly state, yet if there be no joy there, I would not give a shadow of a vapor for all the rest.
And what is this new grief you have to tell?
Death, and the living are guilty for the dead.
And who is the slayer? Who is the slain? Speak!
Haman has perished. His blood was shed by no stranger.
By his father's hand or by his own?
By his own, in anger at his father for the murder.
O prophet, how true you have proved your word.
These things stand so. You must consider the rest.
Look, I see the hapless Eurydice, Creon's wife, approaching. She comes from the house by chance, or because she knows the tidings of her son.
People of Thebes, I heard your words as I was going forth to salute the goddess with my prayers. Even as I was loosening the fastenings of the gate to open it, The message of a household misery fell on my ears. I sank back, terror-stricken, into the arms of my handmaids, and my senses fled. But say again what your tidings were, and I shall hear them as one who is no stranger to sorrow.
My dear lady, I will witness of what I saw, and leave no word of the truth untold. I attended your lord as his guide to the furthest part of the plain, where the body of Polynices, torn by dogs, still lay unpitied. We washed the dead with holy washing, and with freshly plucked boughs we solemnly burned such relics as there were. We raised a high mound of his native earth, and then hastened to enter the maiden's nuptial, the caverned mansion of the bride of death. Then from far off, one of us heard a voice of loud wailing coming from the cave, and so went to tell our master Creon. As the king drew nearer, a bitter cry floated around him. He groaned and said in anguish, "Wretched that I am, can my foreboding be true? My son's voice greets me. Go, haste you nearer, and when you have reached the tomb, pass through the gap where the stones have been wrenched away to the cell's very mouth, and look and see if it is Haman." This search we went to make, and in the furthest part of the tomb, we saw her hanging by the neck, by a thread-wrought halter of fine linen. He was embracing her, with arms thrown about her waist, bewailing the loss of his bride who was with death, and his father's deeds, and his own ill-starred love. But the king, when he saw him, cried aloud with a dread cry, and went to him with a voice of wailing, "Oh, my son, what have you done? What has come to you? What has marred your reason? Come forth, my child, I pray you." But the boy glared at him with fierce eyes, spat in his face, and without a word of answer drew his sword. As the king rushed forward, he missed his aim. Then, hapless one, furious with himself, he straightway leaned on his sword with all of his weight and drove it half its length into his side. And while sense still lingered, he clasped the maiden to his faint embrace, and as he gasped, sent forth on her pale cheek the swift stream of oozing blood. Corpse enfolding corpse he lies. He has won his marriage rights. Poor youth. Not here, but in the halls of death. And he has witnessed to all mankind that of all the curses which cleave to man, ill counsel is the supreme curse.
What does this mean? The lady's turned back and is gone, without a word, good or evil.
I too am startled. Yet I nourish the hope that at the sore tidings of her son she cannot give her sorrow public vent, but in the privacy of the house will set her handmaids to mourn the household grief.
I know not, but to me at least a strange silence seems to foreshadow peril. no less an excess of lament.
I will enter the house and see whether indeed she is not hiding some repressed purpose within the depths of a passionate heart. You say it well. Excess of silence, too, may have a terrible meaning.
Look, the king himself draws near, bearing that which tells too clear a tale. Work of no stranger's madness, if we may say it, but of his own misdeeds.
Sins of a darkened soul, stubborn sins fraught with death. Ah, you behold us, the sire who has slain, the son who has perished. Woe is me for the wretched blindness of my counsels. Alas, my son, you have died in your youth by a timeless doom. Your spirit has fled, not by your folly, but by my own.
Oh, how all too late you seem to see the right!
I have learned the bitter lesson. But then I think, oh, then some god struck me from above with crushing weight, hurling me into ways of cruelty, overthrowing and trampling on my joy. From the troubled toils of men.
Sire, you have come as one, I think, whose hands are not empty, but who has store laid up besides. You bear these burdens with you, but you are soon to look upon the woes within your house.
And what worse ill is yet to follow upon ills?
Your queen has died, true mother of this corpse, by blows newly dealt.
Oh, Hades, all receiving whom no sacrifice can appease, have you then no mercy for me? You herald of evil, bitter tidings, what word do you utter? I was already as dead, but you have killed me anew. What say you, my son? What is this new message that you bring? Of a wife's doom? Of slaughter following upon slaughter?
You may behold within.
Oh, me, there I behold anew, a second loss. What destiny can yet await me? I have just held my son in my arms, and there again a corpse lay before me. Unhappy mother, unhappy my child.
There, self-stabbed with a keen knife. She suffered her darkening eyes to close when she had learned of the fate of him who lies there. And when with her last breath she evoked evil fortunes upon you, slayer of your son.
I freeze with dread. Is there none to strike me to the heart with two-edged sword? Miserable that I am, and steeped in miserable anguish.
Yes, the son's doom was laid to your charge by her whose corpse you have seen.
And what was the manner of the violent deed by which she passed away?
Her own hand struck her to the heart when she learned of her son's fate.
I was your slayer. Wretched that I am, I own the truth. Lead me away. Lead me hence with all speed, whose life is but as death.
Your counsels are good, if there can be good with ills. Briefest is best when trouble is in our path.
Oh, let it come. Let it appear that fairest of fates for me, that shall bring my last day, yes, best fate of all. Let it come, that I may never look upon tomorrow's light.
These things are of the future. Present tasks claim our care. Matters of the future rest where they should rest.
All my desires, at least, were summed in that prayer.
Pray you no more, for mortals have no escape from destined suffering.
Lead me away. I pray you. I pray you. The rash, foolish man who has slain you, my son, unwittingly, and you too, my wife. I know not which way I should look, or where I should seek support, for all is amiss with that which is in my hands, and beyond my reach. Again, a crushing fate is left upon my head.
Wisdom is the supreme part of happiness.
And dedication to the gods must be absolute.
Great words of prideful men are ever punished with great blows.
And
In
in
time,
time, teach the chastened to be wise.